Hello and welcome to Cracked and Saved. My name is Purity Ashayo and I'm so excited today to be sharing my story with you, my cracked story. And so I pray and hope that this will be inspiring to you, as well as that you'll be uplifted and that it shall transform your life. Yeah. So this is my story. In 2007, I joined Limuru Girls School, aka Chalks. And for those who are watching and probably were in this school, you probably know of this story. And so keep it locked. Well, I was used to having a normal cycle since the age of 14. However, in Form 2, I experienced a different kind of monthly periods. Well, this was now a bit different. And so I got to a point where I was so weak while I was in class. However, I didn't have knowledge that this was because of my monthly periods. And so at that point, because of having no energy to handle my studies or even have conversations with people, I was just always sleepy and very dizzy. And so my friends took me to the sanatorium. And going here, the nurse gave me some painkillers because she thought probably I had some weakness, which I thought was also some weakness that probably came from maybe the weather because it used to be so cold, or maybe it was something else different that was causing me to sleep and to be weak and not have energy. However, after a few questions that she asked me, she realized that my monthly periods had taken a bit longer, and so I had lost a lot of blood, but I didn't know the extent of it. So she just gave me some painkillers, and so I thought probably that could work. But going into another month, still the same thing had happened. I was still losing more blood, and I was even getting worse and worse and worse. And I couldn't really stay in class for long. I'd use probably a packet a day. And you see, a packet of sanitary towels has 8 sanitary pads, and those should last you those should actually last you 2 or more monthly cycles, but this wasn't the case for me. And so I had run out of sanitary towels. And so I was now on the verge of asking myself whether to continue staying in this state or to just call my parents. And so I called them and I told my mom this was what was going on. I had had my periods for so long, but it was not ending. And so I felt as though there was a problem, and quickly they came to school and I was rushed to hospital. Now, going to hospital, they tested my blood levels and they were really low. So I had gotten anemic. But I didn't also know the extent of that because I knew it was just anemic. And so the doctor just gave me some supplements, telling me that that could work and that would help to bring back my blood levels, and it probably would improve my monthly periods and probably they'd get back to normal. And so I went back to school thinking that probably that could be. Actually, this is the same year that I was in the verge of asking God to heal me from this. And so I gave my life to Christ, owing to the fact that, you know what, I needed God at that point. And so one of the ways that I did that was, you know what, God, I give you my life. Yani, this is it for me. I want you to save me from this. And so I thought that was the solution at that point, to give my life to Christ and then I'm healed. Pap. However, that wasn't the case. I didn't get healed pap. So going into Form 3, I had probably gone home every single term because every time I had my monthly cycle, I had to go home because I could get weak and dizzy and couldn't really stay in class. So Form 3, it got worse. I was now using 2 packets of sanitary towels a day, and they were really heavy periods. I wouldn't want to go deeper into the into the state of how it would come out of my body, but it was really scary and traumatizing because lumps and lumps of blood would come out of my body. And I asked myself and asked God, why was this happening to me? I'd go to chapel and pray every morning asking God, you know what, God, you have to heal me. I can't get to this state where my grades had also really deteriorated. I had gone from A's to B's to probably C's, and explaining that to your teachers was to my teachers was just another hard experience, because I was like, how do I explain to them what was going on? However, I confided in a certain lady at that point, a lady teacher, and I told her that I had had my monthly periods that was so imbalanced. I would go for 2 months, almost 3 months of my monthly periods, and it was affecting me, affecting my studies, affecting my relationship with my friends, and most of all, it had actually affected my life in high school. Meaning that one of the things that had happened to me was I couldn't swim, I couldn't be involved in sports, because every time I'd go play football or run, I'd get so weak, I'd fall. And so I stopped any recreational activity that was there. But my smile was what really hid a lot of the pain that was going on inside of me, and a lot of um, trauma that I had actually gone through with this experience. And so I'd smile. Anyone would ask me how I am, I'd say, I'm okay, I'm cool. Nothing was really wrong with me, but really I was dying inside. I'd get to the hostels, and in the morning I'd wake up on a pool of blood, and I'd still go to class at, I think, about 5 a.m. And so I had to be strong, but then I was not getting my studies in order, and things just seemed to fall apart. And I remember when at some point, at that point, the deputy head teacher gave me a punishment because I had stayed out of class for a while, and it was because I couldn't go to class because I had actually messed my clothes, and my skirt had like a big patch of blood, and I couldn't go to class. It was so embarrassing. I was ashamed. I felt as though no one would understand where I was or how I felt, and it was because it was embarrassing to talk about, or so I thought that it was embarrassing to talk about. And so in that third year, the doctor decided that, you know what, you've taken enough supplements that probably are also not so good for your liver. I'd like you to see a specialist. And so they gave us a contact of a gynecologist that I had to go see. And in this third year, I went to see him. And so I explained to him what had happened, and he told me, you know what, let's do an ultrasound and really find out what's going on with your uterus and your ovaries and anything that your reproductive system has. Let's just find out what really is going on. And so I felt a slight hope of, you know what, maybe this is my solution, that something will be done to my body. And after going for that ultrasound, so usually for a lady, and probably the doctors can advise on this, or any person who is a health officer can advise on this more. Usually what the doctor had explained to me is your uterine wall, or as a lady, as you have your menstrual periods, the uterine wall is 7 millimeters thick. But mine was double that, meaning it was 14 millimeters thick. And so it was caused by a hormonal imbalance in my body. And the doctor told me that I had to shed off the 7 millimeters that had been doubled, and the other 7 that usually is there every month, or that comes every month. And so that scared me, because I was like, that's a lot of blood, and already I lost so much blood. And so after going back to school, I shed off all that blood, which meant, again, another flow of blood. But then I went back to him, and when we went to see him, he had to give me some contraceptives. And this was out of a place of, I was losing so much blood, and I'd taken so many supplements, and nothing was happening that was making it better. And so he decided, let me put you on a pill that will help balance the hormones, because if I took the pill that the nurse gave me, that I would have had my monthly periods for even 10, 20 years, or probably it would have stopped completely, and I'd probably never have monthly periods again, and that would have messed up my hormones. However, the contraceptives were to regulate and to balance the hormones slowly by slowly. And so I was very attentive to that, and I took them for the rest of my third year in high school. And that was after that, after a cycle of contraceptives, what happens is that you go back to having your your menstrual periods again. And it can also be as long as 2 to 3 months. And then again, when you take the pill, it stops and then goes back again. And so I asked myself questions, and I'd go back to God and ask Him, why am I not getting healed? And yet I thought that this pill would actually work, but that didn't work. By the fourth year, I had taken too many pills, and I was asking myself whether now this was healthy or it was just making me worse. But I decided, let me commit to this and see how my body would act on it. And so it still didn't get better, but at least I'd have a break of my monthly cycle or my monthly periods, and that pill would take over that time, which helped me at least just concentrate in class and not run to the washrooms every single minute or every single hour to get another sanitary towel. So when I left high school, I knew for sure that I'd failed and that would have been the end of my life. But by the grace of God, at least I got grades that took me to university, which was something that I was really thanking God for. But when I went into uni, I was still on the pill. And when I went into uni, something changed. I actually stopped asking God to heal me, but I asked Him to come into my life and take over completely. Meaning that I started seeking God for me and not for my condition or what I had gone through. Because it had now been 5 years, going into 6 years. And that was intense for a lady, because then there were so many things that I had wanted to do in high school that I didn't. There are friends who probably I wanted to relate with that I didn't. In fact, when it came to leadership, I refused to be a leader because of the state that I was in. And that was because I felt so embarrassed to lead people while I was in that state. And so that completely crushed me. So when I went into uni, I asked God, I want to live the life that I didn't live in high school. And so I got into all the activities that were presented to my table or to my hands in university. And that's what I did to compensate for the time that I had. And was it something that I was okay with? I wasn't okay with not doing much in high school, but I just couldn't do much about it because I felt sorry for myself, and I felt so bad that I had gotten to that state. I even blamed myself for what had happened because I thought probably there's something that I had taken in Form 2 that completely messed up my system. But then in university, I seeked God for me, and I asked God, you know what? I want to see you, Jesus. I want to seek your face, and I want to have a relationship with you that's not based on whether I'm healed or not. And at that point, the one verse that kept on coming to mind was Ephesians 3:20, that whatever it is that I ask or imagine or believe in, He can do abundantly, even more than I'm even thinking or imagining. And whatever it is that I prayed for, I believe that He would do exceedingly abundantly more than I was asking, thinking, or imagining, through that power that is at work within me. And so I believed in that power of Christ. And the one thing that for me, I feel that changed completely was focusing or shifting my attention from wanting to get healing to a point of just seeking God and desperately wanting Him for me and not for anyone else or for the condition that I had. So by the second year of university, after taking all those pills, I'd say that I had gotten healed, because then the last time I took them was my first semester in my second year. And after that, I was completely healed. And for me, that was a testimony, because I had been cracked and crushed, and though I was saved, I knew Jesus, but then I had been cracked completely. I was traumatized. I had somehow looked down on myself. There was a fear that had been created inside of me that I'd probably never surmount to anything because of the condition that I had. But I kept on the faith, and I kept on asking God to give me a fresh me, a new spirit in me that would uplift others, and that I would also get uplifted in the process of getting to know him. And so after I got healed is when I realized that that experience was also to build my faith and to also get to know myself better, and for God to build my character and for him to come in and change what was going on inside of me, that I'd be a better version of myself. See, these cracks that I formed over the years in high school had become so huge that I thought that I'd never get back to a point where I'd breathe fresh air, that I'd swim, that I'd lead again, that I'd get involved in any sporting activity. But I did. And that was my testimony, that I got back to myself, that I got back to a point where I didn't let the bleeding stop me from living the life that God wanted me to live. And so probably for you who is out there as a lady, you probably have gone through such an experience, and it has crushed you, it has cracked you, it probably has made your self-esteem go down, it probably has made you feel as though you are less of who you are. But I'd like to encourage you today, if you are in such a state, first of all, please get to see a doctor so that they can check your reproductive system and get to know what really is going on with you. Anyone who would give you any pill that probably is passed over the counter, I'd advise that you actually ask from the doctor whether that's okay or not, so that it doesn't mess up with your reproductive system. So kindly see a gynecologist so that you can get help. But however, aside from doing that, from getting help from a gynecologist, talk to someone about it. Do not feel embarrassed about it or ashamed about it, because it's your body. And sometimes as ladies, our bodies come with hormones, and these hormones sometimes are so imbalanced that they probably have caused acne or serious pimples on your face, and probably you've lost your confidence in yourself, but you can get back up. The other pointer and suggestion that I'd like to give you is to look up to God. He says that when you look up to him for help, he will give it to you. Whatever it is that you ask of him, he's able to give it to you according to his will. And the state that you're in, know that his grace is sufficient, meaning that his power is made perfect in your weakness. So if you're weak right now, or you feel like has taken a toll on you, go back to the maker, go back to the cross. Just like the lady in the Bible who had bled for 12 years. I felt that woman. I felt like I knew what she was going through, because I had gone through it for 6 years. And it was a hard place to be in. But that woman touched the cloak of Jesus. Yani, she just wanted to touch that cloak and get healed. And she believed it, and she got healed. And maybe it needs of you to touch Jesus' cloak, meaning that to just get to his cross and ask him to heal you. And I believe that he can. It may take time, but I believe that God is able to do it for you. So the other thing is Jesus. Seek him, and he will give you the help that you need, and he will heal you completely, because by his stripes we are healed. And the other thing, or the other last thing that I'd like to advise you ladies, is do not let any condition or situation in your life, whether it be menstrual cycles that are so imbalanced, or it may be someone who's looked down on you, or probably has abused you because of your menstrual cycles, or probably someone has not helped you if you ask them for help. Do not let it get to you, or do not let it be a hindrance or limit you from living your best life yet. Just stand back up and know that you can do it. It may take a day at a time, a minute by minute, a second by second, but know that you can do it, because God is with you. And so thank you so much for watching with us. If you would like to share your story with us, please do. This is Cracked and Saved. You can comment down below. Also subscribe to our channel, because we'd like to give you more content and more stories that would help you, that would uplift you, and that would transform you. And so keep it locked for more of many stories that we'd like to share with you. And please share those stories with us, that we can help each other here and even transform each other in this way. See you next time. Bye.